Welcome to the Unit 4 Compositions, Regressions, and Systems Review Guide. I'm going to be going over the answers as well as how to do each of these things. So for this first problem, it says to find each composition given the following, and I give you three different functions. As you can see, they use different functions in each of these, but all of these are composition of functions, just written in different ways. They are still pronounced like h of g, g of h, f of h, h of h, etc. So they are done very similarly. We are only doing compositions, so just keep that in mind. Everything is going to be some type of substitution. You are going to be taking one function and plugging it into the other, or taking this function, plugging it in there, whatever. So as you'll see how it all works out. So there are going to be two types of problems. The first type of problems is ones with actually numbers in them. Like this just has an x, this has an x, this has an actual like 5 in it. So they are going to be a little bit different because they have numbers in them. The easiest way to do the ones with numbers is to actually start on the inside of the parenthesis right here where it says g of 3. What you can do is find g of 3 first. And the way you do that is you just take 3 and you plug it into g. So g is negative 2x plus 1, but you're going to take 3 and plug it in. So it would be negative 2 times 3 plus 1, which is negative 6 plus 1, which is negative 5. So negative 5 is what you get here. And what you would do then is you would take that number and plug it into h. So once again, you find what g of 3 is, you get that number, and you plug it into h, where h is 3x plus 5. So you plug that in, you get 3 times negative 5 plus 5, which is negative 15 plus 5, which is negative 10, and the answer. Done. And something similar is going to be done with E, but as you can see, that comes up later. So we'll go on to B. B says to do g of h of x. What you do then is you start with g. G is negative 2x plus 1. And what you do is you start to write that down. You start writing negative 2x plus 1, but you stop when you would press x. So you don't write x. It's negative 2 times x. But instead of x, you're going to do h, which is over here. So instead of negative 2 times x, you're going to substitute this in over there. Negative 2 times x? No. Negative 2 times 3x plus 5. And then plus 1. So this is taking the place of x. It used to be negative 2x. Now it's negative 2, 3x plus 5. Start with g, negative 2, this thing plus 1, negative 2, this thing plus 1. After that, it's simplifying. Here you would distribute this negative 2 to get negative 6x minus 10 plus 1, which then is negative 6x minus 9, the answer. So usually it's the setup that's the hardest part. And when I grade these things, I give you half credit for setting it up correctly and the other half for simplifying correctly. So let's go on to f of h. So f is the first letter. So I'll start over here with x squared plus 1. But I am not going to write x squared plus 1. I'm going to square whatever h is. So h is 3x plus 5. So instead of x squared, it's going to be 3x plus 5 squared, and then plus 3. So once again, f is x plus 3. But instead of x, you don't write x. Instead, you write whatever h is, which is 3x plus 5. So it's 3x plus 5 squared plus 3. 3x plus 5 squared plus 3. The algebra for simplifying this is harder because you are squaring it. The mathematically correct way to square something with two terms is to write it twice and FOIL it. So you have to write 3x plus 5 times 3x plus 5 and FOIL it out. And don't forget to drop down to plus 3. So when you FOIL this, 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times 5 is 15x. 5 times 3x is another 15x. And 5 times 5 is 25. Drop down to plus 3. Combine like terms. You have these here, and these are like terms as well. So your final answer will be 9x squared plus 30x plus 28. Answer. So big thing there after the setup is to make sure you square it by writing it twice and foiling it. 2 more to go. H of h. Sometimes people have a hard time plugging something into itself. If it makes it easier, you can write down what h is twice. It's 3x plus 5. So if you have 3x plus 5 and 3x plus 5, it's just easier to visualize plugging one into the other, because you have to take this and plug it in to that. So 3x plus 5 is going to be 3 times this plus 5. 3 times this plus 5. And it's still just a replacing 3x plus 5. You replace the x, 3x plus 5. You replace that x with 3x plus 5 again. So it's embedding inside of itself. Inception. Luckily, this is another simpler type of simplifying. 9x plus 15 plus 5. So you get 9x plus 20 as the final answer. Back to this one. This is another one with a number. And a number one is where you find that middle part first. Find f of negative 5. So if you go back up here, f is x squared plus 3. So since f is x squared plus 3, you would do negative 5 squared plus 3. Plug in negative 5 to f. This is going to be 25 plus 3, which is 28. You then take that 28 and you plug it in to g. Since g is negative 2x plus 1, you're just going to plug it in there. So negative 2x plus 1, I guess I'll write it. You plug in 28, so negative 2 times 28 plus 1, which is negative 56 plus 1, which is negative 55. Boop-a-doop. There you go. So that is the answer to the composition of functions questions. I'll come back in the next part to do the regressions. Have a good one.